Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Bill and Dave's Excellent Adventures. Just Dave here. Today, I'm talking about the movie Black Adam. This is going to be a spoiler review, so if you are concerned about spoilers, I would suggest you go and watch the movie first before you watch this review. So, Black Adam is the latest DC Universe movie starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as the character Black Adam. As far as what I liked about the movie, I thought Pierce Brosnan, I liked him as Dr. Fate. Noah Centineo as Adam Smasher, I thought was good. I liked Quintessa Swindell as Cyclone, I believe was her character's name. Sarah Shahi was fine, and I liked Aldis Hodge as Hawkman. And I liked him on the show Leverage. I used to watch that show. I thought the score was pretty good in this. I liked a lot of the music as far as the actual score music and not so much the actual soundtrack music stuff. I thought most of the costumes were pretty cool looking, kind of standard superhero costumes. At this point, the textured kind of rubbery fabric look to them. But yeah, I liked them. I thought they were pretty cool looking. I thought a lot of the set design was pretty good and pretty impressive looking. And there was a couple moments of humor that worked pretty well with me. One joke where The Rock kind of punches or throws a bad guy and Dr. Fate goes, "You killed him, didn't you?" And he looks and you see the guy fall and he goes, "He didn't make it." It was kind of funny. And there was a couple other ones that actually were kind of funny. I don't remember the other ones, but that was one of two or three that got a little chuckle out of me. As far as what I disliked about the movie, there's a lot of exposition in this movie. Just so much exposition. It opens with a big exposition dump, like a really long exposition dump, with a kid doing the voiceover. And I'm like, who's this kid? Why is this kid doing this voiceover? There's more exposition in the movie. There's one point where there's this big exposition scene where they explain a bunch of stuff, and then they go straight from that scene to another exposition scene. And it's like, okay, wow. There's another way to do that, but okay. So yeah, I didn't like that. I didn't particularly like The Rock as Black Adam, mostly because instead of playing the character like he was, a man from 5,000 years ago, or like a fish out of water, he was playing it like he was The Rock. He was delivering his lines just like he would in any other movie. And I'm not saying he should have had like a Arabic accent or something like that, because I think that would have been offensive. But also, hey, maybe you shouldn't have cast a Samoan guy as an Arabic superhero. I don't understand the reasoning there. Well, I understand Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's a big star, and they had to give him a movie. But I don't know. I feel like there maybe would have been a better movie for him than this. I did not like the kid. I always feel bad making fun of a child actor's performance because they're just a child, but I didn't think his performance was very good, and I actually found the character kind of annoying. There was a couple times he was in danger, and I was like, fine. Okay, good. I don't like this kid. And I feel bad saying it. But yeah, kid was really annoying. I really didn't like Hawkman's characterization. They basically just kind of made him this whiny, like, "Oh, you're not supposed to kill people, yeah," and just very ineffectual and stupid, and just, I don't know, really did a disservice to his character, I think. Not that I'm a big Hawkman fan or anything, but like, I don't know. They made him seem like kind of a wimp, and I didn't like that very much. Dr. Fate is very similar to Doctor Strange. Now, I know Dr. Fate came first in the comics, but we've seen Doctor Strange in 3, 4, 5 movies now. And Dr. Fate's powers are very similar. The way they show him with the kind of fractal geometry type stuff looks almost exactly the same. The way he duplicates himself to fight is something that Doctor Strange did in Infinity War. So, and like I said, Dr. Fate came first, but unfortunately, you took longer to get to the movie. So I feel like they could have done something to really differentiate his character and make him stand out a little bit more, and they didn't. I wish they would have. There's this whole plot line here that heroes don't kill. Hawkman keeps, saying it to Black Adam. It's very confusing because in this DC cinematic universe, Superman killed Zod and probably hundreds, if not thousands, of civilians during that stupid fight in Metropolis where they kept smashing into buildings repeatedly instead of doing something that any normal, logical, intelligent superhero would have done, which is like go to the moon or space or away from where people are. So anyway, in the cinematic universe where Superman murders people, Batman murders people, just running people over with his car and shooting at them with rockets and grenades and everything else, and Wonder Woman kills people, all of a sudden Hawkman has an issue with Black Adam killing people. Did the people who wrote this, have they not watched any of the other DC movies, or are they just really stupid? I don't understand why they thought this was a plot point that made sense or needed to be addressed. Also, I feel like I've heard this, superheroes aren't supposed to kill things for like 50 years now. I'm sick of it. Come up with a new story. God, it's boring. The direction in this movie is just embarrassingly bad. It is god awful. It is some of the worst direction I've seen. It's like Rob Zombie bad. It's like Roberto Orsi bad. Like I'm watching this going like, this isn't a first time filmmaker. It's directed like it was directed by like a producer, like Alex Kurtzman decided to get in directing or something. It's really really bad. There's a couple needle drops in this in the movie that just don't work at all for me. There's one where they do Bullet with Butterfly Wings. I like the song, but I don't think it really fit the scene that well. I feel like there could have been a better song for that. There's a part where they do Paint It Black. And again, I like that song. It's a great song, but I really didn't think it fit the scene. I really didn't think it dropped when it needed to. It's like it dropped too soon or too early or something. And I didn't like it. Didn't like most of the humor in this movie. I felt like most of the jokes just like somebody told them and then just landed flat, just zero reaction. Didn't remember the other joke I liked was the sarcasm thing. That was kind of funny. I got a laugh out of a couple people, I think, because they did the callback for it. Yeah, I didn't like the action scenes in this. I thought they were too close and hard to tell what was going on, and just shaky cam and like just this entire movie, everything was just too close. It had a very very claustrophobic feeling. I was watching on an IMAX screen, but I felt like instead of watching the full thing, I was only watching like a small portion of it because everything was just really up close and in your face, and just you really couldn't like. It was very, to me, very claustrophobic. Like I did not like watching this movie. I found it hard to watch. The movie's too long. I say that about every movie. This movie's only 2 hours actually, but it felt like much much longer. I could not wait for this movie to end. Partially because the AMC 20 where I go is terrible and the seats are terribly uncomfortable, but also because the movie was just really not very good. And I was basically just waiting for the mid-credit scene that I had heard about. It's overloaded. They're trying to do too much here by introducing the JSA and Black Adam and everything else. And I don't know why they decided to do Black Adam without Shazam, because Black Adam is Shazam's villain. They even have the same costume. Again, I feel like the people making this just either didn't know or didn't care about any of the lore. And I realize you're doing an adaptation. You don't have to stick to it, but like, why come up with this stupid villain whose name I don't even remember because it was stupid and he looked terrible? And like, I love Satan and demons and pentagrams and everything else. So for me to not like a satanic character, that's pretty tough, man. Like I'm the core audience for that. But yeah, the villain was terrible. I think once he turned into his demon shape or whatever, he only said like a couple lines of dialogue, and it was not very intimidating or scary. And I wasn't for one second worried that they wouldn't be able to defeat this guy. The story is just not interesting and unoriginal, and it's basically exactly what I expected. I feel like I could have not even watched this movie and my review would be exactly the same. It would just be like, oh, people didn't know what they were doing and it was boring and stupid. That's what it is. And the movie, it feels outdated. It reminded me a lot of Morbius, where you're watching, or like Venom, or like this is like a 90s movie. Like, what's going on here? Have you not seen any of the superhero movies that have come out in the last 20 years? Did you somehow miss all of that? Because I was expecting Eminem to do a terrible rap song at the end where he explained the entire plot of the movie. That's how bad it was. Other than that, directed by Jaume Collet-Serra. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He's done some decent stuff. I remember thinking he was actually a pretty good director at one point. He did the movie Orphan, which I thought was okay. The Shallows, which was pretty interesting. A couple Liam Neeson movies like Nonstop and Unknown and The Commuter. He also did the House of Wax remake, I think, that I actually remember thinking was pretty good and being surprised by it. But then he did Jungle Cruise recently, which I have not seen. But man, I don't know what it is working with The Rock. It just made this guy into a talentless hack. It doesn't help, too. It was also written by some people who are talentless hacks as well. Yeah, the writing of this movie is terrible. So I looked up the writers, and it was written by three people. Adam Sztykiel, I don't know how to pronounce it. He's written Rampage and Maid of Honor. Again, worked with Dwayne Johnson. Rory Haines, who has worked on a couple TV shows, I think, called The Mauritanian and Informer. And Sohrab Noshirvani, who also worked on the same shows, The Mauritanian and Informer. So I'm noticing this. I'm noticing a lot as I'm looking into writers and directors. And I'm noticing a lot of maybe not nepotism or cronyism, but a lot of, hey, people who work together again. So like The Rock has worked with the director before, and as a matter of fact, Sarah Shahi worked with him on a TV show, and the writers worked with him, or at least one of the writers worked with The Rock on Rampage. And so it seems like as much as it's important to cultivate these relationships, like maybe you should work with different people, or maybe you should not work with The Rock, because this movie was bad. It was really quite bad. There's a mid-credit scene with Superman that I'm sure nobody was surprised by. It's cool to see it. Again, a little weird to have this guy who's like, hey, you're not supposed to kill people. And to make sure you don't do that, we're going to send you the guy who killed a bunch of people. Yeah. So as far as my score goes on this one, I'm debating between a 4 and a 5. I really did not enjoy this movie. I found it really hard to sit through. I think I'm gonna give it a 5 because I don't think I hated it quite as much as like Jurassic World. I don't remember what I gave that movie actually, or Pearl. But it's not the worst movie of the year, but I would say it's definitely in the bottom 10 of the movies that I've seen this year. It was really quite bad. It was embarrassingly bad. It was hard for me to watch. Like I feel bad for the filmmakers and anyone involved with this movie. It's really not a very good movie. So if you saw the movie, let me know what you thought of it down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great night, and I will see you here again next week.